Members, I move to suspend the Senate's regular order of business to take up and consider at this time Senate Bill 1978. This bill has gotten a lot of attention after some events that took place this spring involving Chick-fil-A. It's hard to argue with the quality of the food. Everybody seems to be pretty universal agreement about that. Unfortunately, Chick-fil-A has been the target of a lot of attacks, and to be honest, based on things that just aren't true. And so as a result, it's drawn attention to the fact that individuals and businesses today can be discriminated against by the government based on their religious beliefs, based on their affiliation with religious organizations. And I think we understand that the fundamental rights enshrined in the First Amendment, free speech, free exercise of religion, those uniquely American rights that we enjoy, that we do not take for granted, those blood-bought rights, those should be protected. Those should be supreme. And so that's what Senate Bill 1978 is about, is to make sure that people are not treated differently by the government based on their religious beliefs. Now, the filed version of this bill prohibited governmental consequences based on a religious belief, sincerely held religious belief, with some other details. In a moment, should the Senate see fit to suspend, I'll be offering an amendment that narrows the focus of the bill to this situation, where if you're an individual or a business and you are a member of a religious organization, you give money to a religious organization, and that'll be defined clearly already in Texas statute. If you're an individual, you're a business, and you have an affiliation with a religious organization, this bill says the government cannot discriminate against you. They can't deny you a contract, loan, license. They can't revoke your tax-exempt status, withhold use or access to government property. And they can't deny entitlements, benefits, eligibility, or a degree. And again, when the amendment is offered, I think you'll see very clearly the bill is narrowed only to apply to those situations where someone would be discriminated against based on their affiliation with or contribution to a religious organization. Much has been said of this bill based on the filed language, based on debates in the House, and based on things that are not in the bill, never were in the bill. But in any case, I think when you see the amendment, and it's been sent to your offices and it'll be filed shortly, I think you'll find this is a reasonable response. It's a legitimate approach to defending First Amendment speech. That's what the bill is about. And in case you haven't heard about the Chick-fil-A situation, it came up this spring, and they were all set to have a new restaurant in the San Antonio airport. But in the 11th hour, at the 11th hour, a member of the city council was concerned that Chick-fil-A's contribution to religious groups with views that he disagreed with and the general ideas people had about Chick-fil-A would be offensive. And so the staff recommendation was overruled and Chick-fil-A's contract was pulled. Now, why Chick-fil-A? They are emblematic. They're emblematic of the problem with the law today, where folks who exercise their religious beliefs can be punished for that by the government. This is not about private conduct between individuals, but this is the government taking action against you. And what were Chick-fil-A's sins? You might be interested to know this. They had contributed money to some pretty radical groups. One of the groups Chick-fil-A was accused of contributing to was the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. The Fellowship of Christian Athletes, many folks here have been members, maybe many still are. A lot of the sports figures that we've looked up to over the years have been involved in the organization. In fact, the money that Chick-fil-A gave to Fellowship of Christian Athletes, it was going to go to sport camps and programs for inner city kids in the Atlanta area. And that's what they were vilified for. But it wasn't just Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Let me disclose everything to you. They were also criticized for giving to the Salvation Army. I don't know how many of us here, like me, have participated with local civic groups in ringing a bell next to the red kettle of the Salvation Army. Been around for a long time, and you know what they do with youth camps, Christmas presents for children that wouldn't otherwise have Christmas presents. How about their work to combat human trafficking? Let me say respectfully, before any of us were concerned about human trafficking, the Salvation Army was fighting these fights. It would be hard to find a more noble, a more selfless, and a more serving organization than the Salvation Army. But because Chick-fil-A had the audacity to contribute money to those groups, they were treated differently. That's what this bill is about. When you see the amendment, I think you'll appreciate that. And so, With that, I move suspension of the Senate's regular order of business to take and consider House Senate Bill 1978.